Out of town. I'm out of town, so I'm going to be answering some questions during my free time. So this isn't my normal background, and I don't use pastels as a paint, or my wife doesn't. All right, listen. Good question. Son's school decided the only way to handle aggressive behavior during recess is modified recess, where he goes to recess by himself. There's one other place that does modified recess, guys. It's called prison, and the people who get modified recess are people that on a place called death row. All right, where they get their own little recess, and they get to walk around, and then they get to jump, and they get to dig, and they get to run and work out and stuff like that. But they get to do it by themselves. So it just sort of reminds me of another place that has modified recess. No, it's not the way to handle things, and socialization is part of our educational performance areas. Okay, within an IEP, we create goals for social emotional deficits, including behavior, and this would be one of those areas. So if your child has issues with regards to aggression or behavior as it relates to interaction with peers, then this is a deficit area, and it's a deficit area that your IEP team needs to address, and not by somehow surgically cutting him out of interaction with other children. That's just not realistic. It's not the real world. What's going to happen when he gets older, and let's say he ages out, let's say he gets bigger? I mean, is that going to be the solution? What happens when he ages out of public school and IDEA services? Then at that point, they're just sitting there saying, "Here you go, Mom, we did our job." Well, you didn't. You did a half-assed job, and you didn't do a very good job. And in fact, everything that you replicated was nothing but a Band-Aid, and not a solution, not a way to heal, not a way to help, not a way to remediate, not a way to gain skills. And that's the entire purpose of an IEP. See, that's my problem with medication on a large scale, along with stuff like this where we're separating kids. It's not a solution. It's masking the problem. It's a Band-Aid. It's not therapeutic to where we're helping the child overcome, manage, regulate, learn new skills, reduce behavior. We're masking it, or we're separating and cutting out. Now, are those the easy things to do? Of course it's the easy thing to do. But you can't manage problems your entire life. You can't do it. You can't do it. I mean, you can try, but the thing about problems in life is that they're mounting. The older you get, they just don't fall off and go away. And the entire point of this journey from childhood into being a juvenile, a teen, and into moving into your adulthood is to sit there and learn skills to regulate your life, and to sit there and take on more responsibility and understand how to navigate problems and work through them. All right, so depending on the nature of your child's disability, and let's throw out there that your child has autism, okay, or severe ADHD, something to where the aggressive aspects would be somewhat part of the components of the disability. Well, at that point, the IEP team, if they want to really address this, needs to bring on somebody that has an expertise in this area, and typically that's going to be a board-certified behavior analyst, a BCBA. And I would find one that adheres to their ethics, a BACB, one that is not consultative. And when I say consultative, I'm talking about one that like Glinda the Good Witch, just sits there and sprinkles fairy dust on everybody, and hopefully it lands on your child, and your child is magically, and the staff is magically trained off consultative fairy dust training, which doesn't happen, guys. Behavior is a complicated thing. And in order to understand the functions and the reason why children, especially children with limited communicative abilities, do what they do, then it takes a little bit more than fairy dust sprinkling of services in order to understand how to navigate that world. And that's why I believe in competency-based training. Training where somebody is there modeling, somebody is there training you to do it accurately and consistently. Because if you don't, then it's not going to help. So there's two aspects that you've got to attack in this area. You've got to reduce or extinguish and eliminate the behavior. And how do you do that? Skill acquisition. We got to teach your child replacement skills, the positive things to help him understand how to navigate recess. And adults have got to be there that have been trained to help do that and help him navigate this environment. And don't buy this nonsense of transitioning him back to recess with all the other children. That's nonsense too. Because it never happens. You'll end up wasting 6 to 9 weeks, and in the process probably creating more behaviors that you end up having to try to extinguish later. You know, you need to work where the problem exists, and there's got to be goals, and those goals have got to be based upon true and accurate determinations of what triggers the behavior, the functions of the behavior. So then you can create a plan, or what's called consequences. And when I say consequences, I'm just using the definition, not bad. See, there's good consequences in life too. And so everything should be based upon a reward system. Positive behavior rewards. Because a lot of times our kids can't appreciate the negative consequences. And I mean, do you function well off negative consequences? A lot of them are natural. But do you like people just creating artificial negative consequences, or do you work better off of positive behavior consequences, like you work and you get a paycheck, or you work really hard and you get a bonus? You see, those are all behavior things that we do just normally in human life. But that's what needs to happen, is instead of masking, instead of band-aid the situation, you go back and you need the behavior analyst to do a functional behavior assessment all across the board, including at recess, to determine what the functions of the behavior are. And at that point, present those findings to the IEP team. Create a behavior plan that includes behavior goals, that includes behavior strategies, that includes competency-based training of the staff working with your son to help him gain the skills to find regulation, to find positive skills in order to navigate his social environments. This is not rocket science, but at the same time, it is complicated, and you do need the right professional hats in there, okay? And whoever that is, that you got to sit there and check to see if they truly are an expert. Because I have a lot of people, when it comes to behavior, goes, oh, I'm an expert, or, they gave me a title of behaviors are. What does that mean? I don't know what the hell that means. So I have a lot of people that go, I'm a behavior specialist. Well, what does that mean? I know what a board certified behavior analyst is. I know what a licensed behavior analyst is. I know what those are. All these other made up titles, I don't know what they are. So do your homework to find out what makes these people experts and special. I know what the ethical requirements are for a board certified behavior analyst. And that's why I keep touting them over people with made up titles. And that typically is what schools like to do to try to deal with a very complicated, very complex area.